This is the ABQ Business Podcast with your host, Jason Rigby. Each week we'll interview visionary business leaders to inspire the creative power and spirit that's in every entrepreneur. Discussing strengths, weaknesses, strategies, systems, and the problems we can all solve together for a new future for local small business.
Guys, super excited today on the show. I have Jacob. And Jacob, is your last name Blackett?
Yes.
Oh, okay, perfect. I want to make sure. I didn't know if it was like with the ending with like a French, like a Blackett or something.
I wish it was more interesting, but no, it's Blackett.
But you're a founder of Syndication Pro. I know you've done a lot of different businesses, and we'll get into Syndication Pro. One of the things that when we were emailing, 50 million of investor capital into income producing real estate. You built an investor network of over 3,600 investors, and you launched this online syndication platform that has helped. But kind of one of the things that I want to get into with you, Jacob, is you're 30 years old, a successful entrepreneur, and I kind of want to dissect that a little bit. But let's start off, if you don't mind. Let's go into you finding, we'll kind of reverse engineer this. Let's talk a little bit about Syndication Pro, and then we'll get into your life story.
Sure. So Syndication Pro is a software company that I run with a partner. We're 50-50 partners in the business. The software company focuses on solutions for real estate firms primarily that raise capital for transactions for real estate that they own and manage. And so we provide them a back office where they can manage their investors, raise capital for their deals, and ultimately have everything in one place and save time, and which of course leads to raising more capital and scaling their business. And so that software company was born from my direct experience in real estate. So I was doing that back in 2012, 2013, 2014. Built out my website to raise capital for my real estate deals, and we can kind of get into that some more, Jason. But really, it was just a story of keeping my head down and just chasing my vision of building a real estate portfolio, and I always had a knack of leveraging technology, and so I basically found myself running a website that did some really cool things that just so happened that a lot of my colleagues and other real estate firms could find value in. So I had a light bulb moment and said, you know what, after a handful of my colleagues and other people in the industry running similar businesses, after them asking me, hey, how do we do what you've done? I finally saw the opportunity of actually making that a service and giving other real estate firms the ability to do that.
That's amazing. And so obviously, I mean, like you said, you had this light bulb moment. I know when everybody says that, usually it's years and years and years of grinding and working, and then all of a sudden, everybody thinks you're an instant success. Now, where were you originally raised at?
I was born and raised in Reno, Nevada.
Oh, lovely. So like the old school gambling town?
The old school gambling town, yes.
So you probably have quite a bit of stories for us.
Yeah. I was born and raised there. I went to college there. Really, really great place. I now live in the Midwest in Columbus, Ohio, which is a great place. I've enjoyed it. But back in college during the winter, for example, I would go ski a couple times a week. I think that's what I miss the most about Reno is the wonderful outdoor opportunities.
So when did you kind of know that you were entrepreneurial? Was it, teenage years, before that? When did you start feeling like that bug of I love business?
Yeah, it was actually in college. So what really got me, so my dad was was a small business owner. He owned he was an auto mechanic. He owned his own shop, kind of a small one-man shop, just doing his own thing. And I didn't think there was really anything too special about that growing up. Like I didn't think like, oh man, that'd be really cool to own my own business. What happened is that I got a job at a Walmart distribution center, actually right when I graduated high school. I turned 18 in the summer that I graduated. I went and put in an application. My big goal in life was just to get a job and move out of my parents' house and pay my way through the college. And so it was actually at that job that it was my first experience of so the shift was 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and I did that throughout college. And but you had to clock in, at an exact time. You had
Right.
you had breaks at an exact time. You had to clock out for lunch, clock in, and to top it all off, every movement was tracked. It was a Walmart distribution center, so it was fulfillment. So I was going through aisles and order filling, and it was pretty. It was a good workout for 12 hours on the weekend each day, and but everything was tracked, and I just really started growing to despise that, to really resent the fact that someone was telling me how much sick time I could have, for example, or vacation time. I kept having to, like, how many Super Bowl I missed every Super Bowl for 4 years because I worked on Sundays,
Wow.
right? And so it was actually at that job that I just really started thinking that this is not something I want to do long term, is be held to someone else's hours and be told, when I have to show up. And it was actually at that same time that I stumbled into entrepreneurship classes at my university and saw this, got a taste and got a vision of what it could be like, what it might look like to do your own thing, and run your own company. I really like the idea of owning my time and showing up for me, and that's kind of what really got me going.
So you're in this huge distribution center. You're working these crazy hours. You're going to college and learning, and then all of a sudden you kind of see this desire that begins to just grow inside of you. Was there at the time were you just kind of, do you feel like you're fumbling through it, or did you start like reading books, start listening to any audio, or I don't know if podcasts were out there then or not, but what what was some of the things that you began to do to learn?
Yeah, what happened is that late one night, I was uh, I had the TV on. I have no idea. I'm not typically watching TV late at night, but I saw an infomercial about
Mm.
fixing and flipping real estate. And it was a kind of guru real estate commercial, making lots of money on real estate deals, and they were doing a free one night seminar. And so this was actually, so I called the number, I went to the one night seminar, which they taught you a little bit, but really it was the sell for the weekend, right? The 2 days,
Right.
Saturday and Sunday. And so I got my credit card out, paid the $9.95 for the 2 days. And it was actually during that weekend that one of the people who were teaching about real estate mentioned mindset, and they had mentioned uh, secrets of the millionaire mind. And so that's a book by T. Harv Eker, and I jotted it down, and I went and bought it. And I think also Think and Grow Rich kind of was also put out there during that weekend. I that was my first time ever hearing about those books, and so I think that was really a, a pivotal moment where before that I never thought about mindset, never exposed to the fact that we have the power to control our thoughts, and the impact that energy and those thoughts can have on our lives, and how our outcomes and how our actions are so heavily tied to our mindset. And so that was, I think, a big part, getting into those books and through those real estate seminars. I just kind of got hooked. I started buying more books, more real estate books. So by the time I graduated college, I was ready. I literally got my real estate license and started fixing and flipping and wholesaling real estate. As soon as I graduated full time, I didn't get a job, quit Walmart, and haven't turned back.
That's crazy. So as you start to reading this and this new world kind of opens up to you, was it changing? Do you feel like it was, I mean, before then you were just like, I need to go to college. Now you were like self-educating. What was, did it begin to change your mood or your personality? Were you, like more driven, or, like what would begin to happen in those, probably in that tail end of the college years when you're getting excited about real estate and mindset?
Yeah, it's funny because reflecting on it, thinking back on it, I was not a big reader. Quite honestly, I don't know if I read a book from cover from from front to back ever before picking up Secrets of a Millionaire Mind. I Because everything that I had read previous to that was prescribed to me through school. I just didn't have very much interest in it. I would skim through it or get the spark notes, just was not interested. So it was the first time that I actually picked up a book and started reading, and it was like, whoa, this is really interesting, and read it through and through. And so yeah, kind of reflecting, looking back at that time, I felt like, on one hand, I felt like I hit the jackpot
Right.
because there's so much that I'd never been told, so many principles and stories, and I felt like I was excited. Quite honestly, I felt like I couldn't imagine what life would be like if people didn't have their hands on those types of weren't exposed to those types of principles and thoughts about mindset. And so yeah, I felt on in some instances, I felt like I was alone sometimes
Yep.
because you would kind of talk about it, open the door about that to some people, and it's just, if no one's ever thought about mindset or had that kind of pivotal moment or read that book, then they're kind of like, wow, maybe am I sounding crazy, to someone who's never thought about that. So yeah, it was pretty exciting.
And you were probably what, like 21, 22 at this time?
Yeah, I was, let's see, 19 when I got at that point.
So you here you are, this 19-year-old, and you begin to look at this, and then you're like, everybody else is, hanging out, going to parties, smoking weed, whatever they're doing. And then here you are, and you're like, all focused on this. You begin to, you go to this. Now, was the real estate thing kind of, I mean, you learned a lot from it, obviously, but was it cheesy? Was it well done? The 2-day seminar you went to?
It was well done. There was a lot. I did learn a lot from that 2-day seminar. I actually purchased a boot camp kind of whole nother part. Like it was like a 3-day weekend with a coach, and I think overall the seminar did a pretty good job. It definitely delivered content. It delivered principles. It taught me a lot of things. It also did a lot from a sense of mindset and kind of
Mm.
pumping you up and really, really helping you to take action. But from what I experienced, and kind of reflecting on the last 10 years of building businesses, is that some people might say, and I've heard this before, it's 100% mindset. You just got to go out there and take action and just make things happen. And what I would say is that it's 100% mindset, and it's 100% uh, technical ability, or specialty, or your ability to provide value. So coming out of those seminars, I had the right mindset. I had the willingness to just take action and get past my fears and get past convention. But I had never flipped houses before. That was a fact.
Mhm.
I'd never managed construction before. I never. There's a lot of new things that no matter how many seminars you take and no matter how many books you read, you just you'll never progress until you get into it and start doing it. And so I actually lost money on my first couple flips that I did back in college, and it was tough. But what I ultimately learned is that I was trying to just do everything on my own and just take what I'd learned and just go out and do it. And really, what I needed was a better mentor.
Mm.
Potentially, what I say to people in that scenario where they're going out to do something new. If we're sticking to the real estate side of things, if you're going out to do your first fix and flip, uh, don't do it by yourself. Like even if you have the money, you have the means, and you've read a book and you've maybe went to a seminar, there's ways to partner with people who are already doing that, who have already done fix and flips, and who know the intricacies and that's what, if I could rewrite that period of time in my first couple of deals, I would have look to create a partnership with someone who was already doing it. There's a lot of nuances that you can do it yourself the way I did it, and it's tuition, and you lose, and you learn, and I've done very, very well in real estate. I don't necessarily regret that, but there's easier ways to approach that at the same time.
No, I love that because and I love what you just said right now, and I want people to understand that. Like you said, if you could go back, almost like if you had a time machine, you go back in time instead of trying to do everything all by yourself, you would find that wisdom and that experience, team up with them, even if it was at a monetary loss, you would still team up with them because you experienced a loss on your own, and I know you learned from that tremendously, but at the same time, I know Robert Greene wrote a book about mastery, and an amazing book, but apprenticeship seems to be, a lost art that we see nowadays. And everybody wants to be, the get rich quick, want to do things right away. And they feel like they can do them. And then they get discouraged and they don't have that, you know, availability to someone to kind of, either kick them in the ass or move them along, in the right path and that right compass. Did you eventually meet someone like that, or did you just kind of just over time struggle and then now you're at that level where you could mentor someone?
Yeah, I did eventually meet someone who acted as a springboard in my real estate career. So like I said, I did those first couple of fix and flips on my own. I lost money. I was determined. I'd met people making money in real estate. I met people doing it successfully, and so I knew it was possible. So when I graduated, uh, I actually had met someone who was buying rental properties in Indianapolis. I moved from Reno, Nevada to Indianapolis as soon as I graduated to be closer to my girlfriend at the time, who is now my wife. So it
Oh,
all
awesome.
worked out. Yeah. And so I moved to Indianapolis, didn't know anyone in town, but I got my real estate license, started advertising and looking for real estate deals. I ended up finding a gentleman in town who was buying rental properties, and so I ended up really learning about the type of properties they were looking to buy, and I went out there and found them. And so I through that relationship, within a couple years, I was basically managing all of their acquisitions, buying 10 to 20 properties a month. And it was a huge springboard so that when I did go out on my own and just do my own thing with my own real estate firm, I already had what would equate to 10 years of experience that I just compressed into 2 years with that person who was already at that point in their career where they're crushing it, making things happen.
Oh, I love that because and I want everyone to hear what you just said, that you were able, with that mentor, you were able to compress it, and then now be where you're at, at this level, and then be able to do that so quickly instead of just keep stumbling. You would eventually figure it out. Yeah, I mean, you seem to be ultra smart. So, like, I kind of want to go back into this mentorship because I think it's so important, especially when you look at somebody that may just be starting out like you did, maybe they're in their 20s, and a lot of people won't take the time, to that they all want that Goldman Sachs job or whatever it may be. But did you start off with him just trying to create a ton of value with him? Were you doing like the dirty work, or finding things for him? How did you pique interest with him, and how did you start off?
Yeah, so I realized, I knew, I learned of his company. I saw what they were doing. They're buying rental properties. I The addresses were available to me online, right? I could see their property management company was advertising properties for rent. So I just took some time to learn about their business and their business model and where they're buying real estate so that I could so that I could just understand what they were doing. And so I knew that the biggest part of any real estate business, really, I mean, it all starts with the deals. Like there's no real estate business if there's not the deal, right? Everything kind of falls in line behind the deal. And so I thought if I could learn what a good deal was to them, and I could go out and find a good deal and bring it to them and ask for a fee for that, that was really my entry point. And so um, at the time, the guy was actually purchasing most of his properties through sheriff sale auctions, through courthouse auctions, and this was in 2012, where there was still a lot of foreclosures, and over the last 4 years, that was a very good source of deals through that kind of 2008 2009 meltdown. And so I realized that there were other ways to go find deals that he wasn't currently using. For example, putting up signs, sending owners letters, putting in offers on listed properties, kind of lowball offers, putting in lots of offers, and so that was my entry point with him, was finding him deals, which of course, no, in his business model, there's no scenario where he says no, don't bring me a deal, right? I mean, that's what his business lives on. And so after successfully finding him a couple deals, and there were deals that he passed on, and that was kind of potentially a blessing, right? Because maybe I was thinking it was a good deal, but because of his experience and knowledge, he knew it wasn't. And so if I was trying to do that by myself, maybe I would have got myself into tight positions. But long story short, after I really found him his first couple deals, I I remember asking him, "Is there any grunt work I can do? Because I'm spending a lot of time looking for deals, but I'm used to being busy." And so he had a property management company. He had a good sized business going. So I said, "Is there anything I can take off your plate? I'm not looking for a job. I'm just looking for quite honestly some busy work to fill my gaps in between, everything." And so he tasked me with putting together these little marketing packages for his properties that he was selling, and that was my entry point. I saw how he was doing it, made a better way to do it, started hanging out in his office, and just really, once he saw that, I could turn things around, and I was had the type of personality and the type of person that he, as a business owner, you're always looking for A plus rock star people to add to your team. And
Right.
so, and Jason, I'm sure, and any other business owners listening, you resonate with this. You meet that person that has the right character, they have the right work ethic, and that they're the fit from a culture perspective. And those are the precious gems. That's what your business is built on, are those people that you're able to attract. And so yeah, I think, long story short, I was able to just, with finding deals and doing some grunt work myself right into his organization, uh, doing a lot of things.
That's so awesome. And I love what you said. And I think you could probably put this in any type of sales. You said everything revolves around the deal. And so your whole thought process was, I need to find him deals. And so you found creative ways, whether it was through marketing or like you said, through the grunt work of putting lowball offers in. However, you just found all these creative ways to bring that one thing specifically that he wanted, that like you said, he would not refuse this deal. Do you think it's still that way in sales? Do you think, do you think most, whether it's, in real estate, automotive, B2B, whatever it may be, do you think everything still revolves around the deal?
Absolutely. Right. Any business model, the growth is so much tied to the deal. And I like the way that you're applying that to all these different industries, but it's so true. Any business, I mean, try to think of a scenario where someone comes to you and say, I can grow your business by doing something that you're not doing, right? And I understand your business, and I know how to sell it and help you grow. I mean, what owner or person is going to say, no, thank you. I'm fine with my current growth.
Right. Yeah, exactly. 100%. So you're working for him. He put you in this, in a position, you're in the organization now. Now, once you get that title or that position, do you begin to help him grow? Does it begin to grow? Are you bringing creative ideas to him and you guys are trying different things? What begins to happen then?
Yeah. So the owner of the company, he was a tremendous salesperson. Really good, really good at putting deals together. Um, Not so good when it came to operations.
Mm,
So, for example, his property management company was really hired out from, I think that the first employee was a, a really cool bartender that he met, and right, which was a great person, and probably not terrible hire, but the rest of the company filled out with kind of friends and relatives, and we need a person, well, who's available, who do we know, not strategic hires, not based upon resume and based upon, not strategic. And so, when I started working with him, they had about 800 rental properties that they were managing, and they were doing this through a home baked software. So they had, one of the friends of a friend was a web developer, and they paid this guy to build out this property management software for them. And once I got into that and started looking, and I just did some Google searches. This is back in 2012, 2013, just looking at property management software. I did a demo, and I was like, man, there's so much more you could be getting out of this. And so I was part of that process of convincing him to migrate from that kind of home baked software to an actual legit suite, management suite. And so there were a lot of operational things that I also helped with. And in addition, eventually started taking care of all of the acquisitions, right? So I his goal was to be buying at least 10 properties a month, at least. More the better. There's really no cap. And so, through all those different channels that I learned about how to find deals and go out there and find those deals, I was able to help fill that fill that fill that channel. And yeah, we that business purchased more and more properties every month, every year that I was there, until I eventually left.
So now, what like obviously it's doing well and everything's going good, and you decide to leave. Is this the moment where you start looking at, are people, like you had said, people coming to you and they're asking this question, and you think that you can fulfill it? What was like the next step in because I know you got into investing,
Mhm.
real estate investing, and stuff like that. Was that the next step that you got into?
Yeah, so all the meanwhile, while working with him, I was out there sourcing deals for his business, deals that didn't fit his business model. I was either fixing up and flipping them myself. So I was on the side doing anywhere from 5 to 10, and at least a handful of deals at any given time. I had kind of you know on the side as well. So this whole time I'm working in his organization, finding deals for him. I'm doing wholesale deals, fix and flip deals that don't necessarily meet his model. And what happened is I ended up meeting someone at a meetup who had a small rental portfolio that they're making six figures on. And I remember that this it was a middle-aged gentleman, and he was telling me he was basically, I think it was about, yeah, I think it was less than 10 properties, something like eight or nine properties, but he was making six figures a year rental income, and it was coming month over month, right? And so everything that I had been doing to that point was buy and sell. It was all transactional, kind of
Right.
getting in, getting out, getting in, getting out. So I was always looking for that next deal, kind of always hustling. And I just sat there I just took a moment to think, wow, if I had a portfolio of rental properties that I could build up and know that income every month, it's basically compounding growth, right? You're just adding to the portfolio, and every month I have those streams coming back. I became quite fascinated with that with that idea of cash flowing rental properties portfolio. And at the time, I was working with that mentor. He at that time had about 1,000 rental properties that we were managing, and so I could, in our software, see this rent roll, these rents coming in every month. It's almost $1 million a month, and I was just thinking, man, if I owned 20% of that portfolio, that would be a pretty nice, serious chunk of change coming in every month. And so I basically penciled out a scenario where instead of buying and fixing up and selling these properties to other investors, I would instead let people invest with me in those properties. So that instead of buying the property from me at a markup, they could come invest in the property with me. I'll keep 20 or 30% ownership. I'll do all of the management, all of the work involved to own and operate that property. I'll be responsible for it. And I'll just attract capital, just people to
Mm.
come invest with me. And I penciled out, in 5 or 10 years, I'll have thousand properties, and life will be pretty good. And so that was my next my next kind of venture that I was queuing up, and I actually pitched my mentor on it because he was buying and selling all these rental properties to investors. He was keeping some for himself, but for the most part, they were all transactional. And so I basically pitched it to him, uh, that business model. He said, uh, he said, you've got, the way I see it, you've got two decisions. We can do this together, you and me, but you're gonna have to give up a lot of ownership, uh, because I'll want to keep control, uh, or you can go out and do it yourself. And I can't promise you that I won't do this business model, but you can go do it yourself. And either way, I think you should do it, and I'd be happy either way. And so I thought on it for a night or two, and shook his hand, and said, I'm gonna run off and do this myself.
Mm. And so then that began a process of, because I know before we get into the real estate syndication software, so this began a process of you. Did you start building it up? Were you having like bumps along the way? I mean, was it
Yeah.
or was did investors just come flowing in?
Yeah. So I was at that So I was at that point where now I needed to attract investor capital. And so this was in 2013 when the first real estate crowdfunding sites came online, and I was seeing how they were attracting investors, and investors could invest in real estate directly through a website. And so my first thought was I could go ahead and post. My idea was to go buy 10 rental properties with my own cash, and then get investors on board to basically cash me out. I'll keep ownership, and investors get a split 70 or 80% of the profits. And so I was initially thinking that I would post this investment opportunity on one of these real estate crowdfunding websites, and that's where I would get my investor capital for the deals. But they were really looking for to only work with institutional type groups. I was a small player. They were looking for people with 50 million or more in assets under management, and so there wasn't a good fit. And so I actually, after considering it, talking to a few platforms, learning about how they work, I thought, why not just build out my own platform so I can more or less replicate what they're doing. I can attract my own investors to my own site and raise capital for my deals on my own website. And yeah, so that was really what got started. I embarked on a 9-month process of working with a web development company to get my website to a place where I could post. Number one, I could register investors to it, so it could act as a lead capture. I could post my deal on the website and actually have those investors make commitments and make investments in the deals. And so that was a 9-month journey. Spent a whole lot more time and money than I ever thought I would on it, but was able to post my first deal on the website. Took about 3 months to find those investors, and within a year, I was doing deals almost monthly, and funding within weeks. And so at that time, that's when kind of it was getting some of my colleagues to kind of turn their head and say, we want to fund our deals through our website as well. How do we do it? And so that's really where I started considering that maybe I had something.
And so, because I want to make sure, if people are in real estate, I want them to be able to understand this. So so you take 9 months, you build this website out, you're trying to get these investors to come in. Once you built the site out and it was ready, was there issues in first raising capital, or how was that process? Or did it take you a while, like a year or two, or was it a quick thing?
So in terms of the actual technology working,
Yes, technology
yeah,
working.
yeah, we went through. Uh, it was I want to say it was supposed to be built up in 3 or 4 months, but it took 9 months because every time I tested it, every time I went through it, there was always this additional consideration, or this not working, and so yeah, it was a long process, and quite honestly, it probably took at least a couple years until it was to a point where we could raise money without having any hurdles, or any kind of scenarios where someone's trying to do something, they're not able to do it, or something breaking or not working.
Yeah, that people don't realize that it's almost like you open up a Pandora's box,
Oh.
or you're peeling an onion. It begins at so you go on this adventure, and then now what was the shift from, because obviously a shift from that, and then you're getting into this is like a syndication CRM. I'm on your website right now, Syndication
Hmm.
Pro.
Hmm.
Um, so now. Was that a different name company? Was it a different website, or did you end up selling it, or and then move on to Syndication Pro and do that? What was that whole process there?
So the first business, and what I still own and operate, is called Holdfolio.
Okay.
So Holdfolio was the real estate firm that started back in 2013, 2014, that I built out the first website with to do this. And so through Holdfolio, and it was really where I was doing this, and learning it, experiencing it, and having people ask me, how do we replicate what you're doing with Holdfolio? And I actually met I was actually at a mastermind in January of 2018, and there's about 12 of us, and all people who owned say at least $10 million in real estate. And out of the 12, three of us were managing our investors online, and the other two in the room. So I had built out my own website to do it, and that's how I was making it happen. And the other two were using another software that I had not heard of. I didn't know. I heard it was investment management software, and I was like, oh, what is that? I don't know. And so I went and researched it, and I was actually thinking, Jason, I was actually thinking, maybe this is a good time for me to get away from this kind of home baked solution through my website. Maybe this is something better that I can implement to help me stop spending so much time with web developers, and just focus more on real estate. And so I lined up a demo. I found actually another company that was doing it, and after an hour-long demo, I uh, was not impressed. I felt like what I saw was bulky, complicated. It didn't look good. I put emphasis on making sure that my website looked good, that it was appealing, and it just wasn't user friendly, and it was also really expensive. And so I kind of sat back and thought, man, if people are paying this kind of money for this service, and I looked at what I'd already built with Holdfolio, and I said, I think there's definitely room in the market here for something that is better designed, easier to use, and has pricing that can scale with firms. So you don't
Mm.
have to be, you don't have to be $100 million real estate firm in order to make sense of using the platform. And so uh, I actually don't know how to code. I've never written a line of code in my life. And so I went to the owner of my web development company, who I'd been using for a couple years, who I was pretty happy with, had good experience with, and I pitched him on the idea, saying this is what people are using. I've got colleagues who are looking for a solution, who have basically asked me how to replicate Holdfolio. I think that we have intriguing business opportunity to build something together and offer it.
Now, did you, like, when you started to get into like actually building out Syndication Pro, was it one of the things where, because it seems like extremely niche, like, I mean, is there 1,000 people, 10,000 people?
Yeah, yeah. It's in term of user base, it's between it's in the 5,000 to 10,000 range, probably. the thing is there's a lot more adoption to be had. So there's a lot of growth in the segment,
Right.
but yeah,
That's
it
what
is in the big
I'm
scheme
looking
definitely niche.
smaller. Yeah, because I think a lot of people when they're designing websites or when they get into something, I mean, this is a prime example of you getting. I mean, pardon my French here, but I was in the Marine Corps of like a sniper shot. I mean, this is like
Mhm.
so nichey, and you found something that there was only one or two other resources available, and they were like you said, bulky and not very user friendly. So you had this tremendous opportunity to, double down. And so how long did it take you to build out Syndication Pro?
Yeah, so we took the approach of let's get an MVP out there. Let's see. We looked at what we built with Holdfolio already. We said, what are there any additional add-ons or things we need to do differently? Let's get something out there. And so it took 3 months to get our MVP out and in the hands of some people that I already knew who were interested in using it, and we use that as validation that yes, there is room for this. That the people who have expressed interest are actually willing to sign on and willing to pay for that service. And so within about 2 to 3 months of rolling out that MVP and onboarding some people, we decided to double down. And the first MVP was built out on WordPress, and so we doubled down, went to a JavaScript, Node, React, just really invested in the technology stack and made a scalable software.
No, I love that, and the website I'm on it right now. It's syndicationpro.com. It, I mean, you did a great job. I really like the big like book a demo, instant demo, super clear call to actions. You have obviously that's a video of you, I think, right in the
Yeah.
front.
hmm
Yeah, that's super cool. I want to be respectful of your time, so I want to make sure we wrap this up. What are kind of some of the things that you're looking at for the future, and what are some of the things that you're wanting for these business owners that are out there to be able to see not just through Syndication Pro, but through yourself also.
Yeah, I think what I'm seeing and the opportunity that's before us is that I have a lot of direct experience. I am a user of the software, and so what I've learned is that it's a really powerful place to be uh, to be there, to be using it, to uh, I'm very grateful to kind of be have a knack for problem solving and really just making things better. I think Jack Walsh had said a quote to that effect of just every day innovating, right, and just making things better. And I think we've put together a team that is really doing things that's differentiating us in the marketplace. And so our vision is to keep our heads down, focus on the product, and really differentiate through the product, create an ecosystem that is just simply unmatched, and just really provide a unique product, and grow it out and see where it takes us.
No, I love that. And if somebody wanted to, I know they can go to syndicationpro.com, but if they want to know more about you, do you have an Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn?
I do have a LinkedIn.
Oh, okay,
So
perfect. Yeah, and and it's I'm on it right now. It's Jacob Blackett, Blackett.
yeah, you got it. And my direct email is jacob@syndicationpro.com.
Cool. And do are you still doing things with Holdfolio, or is that something if somebody's interested, is that open still, or is there anything that um our audience could know about that?
Yeah. Holdfolio is a blast. It's a more mature company now. I have a great team around me. We continue to buy real estate, and our business model is creating partnerships. So we have uh, almost 600 investments with us. across a portfolio of over 1,500 units of multifamily, primarily multifamily real estate. So yeah, definitely from the portfolio perspective, we've been creating some really successful partnerships in terms of owning and managing real estate. So I continue to do that and plan to do that for the rest of my life, quite honestly.
That's amazing. I appreciate it. And you've done this all, you're 30 years old. So awesome. I'm excited about what your future holds. I know you seem to be very strategic and focus on strategy and just to be able to create these businesses out of nothing. It's a testament to your hard work. And your ability to be able to find things that are new, that have a niche, and then be able to explore that and then execute on it. I think, from what everything I've heard in meeting you and going through this, I think you're great at execution and just putting your head down and getting things accomplished. I think, and that goes to everything. I think I'm going to name the title, if you don't mind, of the show, "Everything Revolves Around the Deal." I just love that line. I think you better copyright that.
Yeah, that sounds good, Jason. Thank you so much for the opportunity to have this discussion. It's been a blast.
Well, awesome. Well, thanks, Jacob. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. You too.